Hello and welcome to the Legacy Crusaders YouTube channel. This is Benji and today I'm joined by Caleb. Say what up, Caleb.
Yo, what up?
Alright, so Caleb is one of the two hosts of the Cut Yugioh Podcast. Everyone, if you haven't already checked them out, they can be found on Spotify, iTunes. Are you guys going to be in some other places as well?
Yeah, almost just about anywhere that they have. You can listen to podcasts for the most part.
Oh, cool. Podcasts everywhere. I love podcasts, especially when they're about Yu-Gi-Oh! And discussed by two real duelists, or average Joes. Speaking of average Joes, normally what I do is I take on someone who's supposedly an expert, someone who knows 100% what they're doing, who makes all the plays, tells me what to do. I try to ask questions for you, the audience. And this time I try someone who could use a little bit of work, can use a little polish, can try to get a little bit better. So I have Caleb here, who's been playing Madolche and would like to play better.
That is correct. I hope to possibly even become one of the best Madolche players in the world. That'd be amazing.
All right, cool. So if you're familiar with my How to Play series, what I do is I bring someone on, they tell me what to do, I ask them questions, and then we play a few games. So we're going to do essentially that, except in this case, we're not playing under the impression that you know 100% what you're doing or your choices aren't necessarily perfect. And I'm going to try and be the better player, because everyone's always told the best way to get better is to learn from better players, either play with them or ask them questions about what they did, why they're doing it, and so on. So I'm going to try and act as that. I'm going to be like your shadow. So you're going to tell me what to do through a few games on YGOPRO. I'm going to try and ask questions about why you want to do something, and I might suggest other plays or ask more things. Now, I am handicapped here. I do not play Madolche. I have played it for the series before. It's not one of the videos that went the best, but I do know how, for the most part, how all the cards work. I just might not know some play lines. So I will do my best to help you make better choices. Now, this is a going first list, I assume.
It can go first or second. It means that way you can do either or. I would prefer to go first, mostly just so I can set up the Gozens, or even set up a very particular board that doesn't really put out light negates or anything, but the board's designed to make it hard for you to, or impossible for you to actually OTK me. Then I turn it around on my next turn and just OTK you.
Okay. Before we get started, as again I said, I don't play Madolche, so my assistance can only be so great. Is there anything about your build that's worth mentioning before we get started that people may or may not agree with?
Okay.
And you've made some choices to go with.
Okay, well, I mean, the only change that I'm looking at possibly making is actually decking out the Nightmare Unicorn for a copy of Zeus, AA Zeus, because I don't actually have a Zeus right now. So hopefully I'll be able to get one this weekend. But that's the only change that I plan on making. And then I also plan on somehow fitting in a playset of Forbidden Droplets, because my co-host is actually going to lend them to me for a big tournament we're going to this weekend. Other than that, a lot of this deck is, if I can D-Shifter going first.
Well, I mean, just comparing it to either, obviously I actually think we should make all the changes that you just said now, because if you're going to play the deck that way at the big tournament, there's no reason for us to not just build it that way. Because you're definitely going to be able to borrow droplets, and there's no way that you can't get a Zeus out of a tin, right?
Well, I mean, there's always the chance that I can't get the Zeus, but I can definitely get the droplets. The issue is that right now I'm still trying to figure out how to deck the droplets in, because I'm already at 41 as it is. So, yeah, you kind of see the problem.
Only barely. My suggestion, I say we just test it with it in there and then see if anything bricks us, and we can determine where we're having some sticking points. We might as well just test it at 44 and just throw them in.
Fair enough.
All right, so I want you to know the options you have before you go into that tournament. So let's throw in some droplets. Let's cut Unicorn for the Zeus.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
So the whole point behind the Unicorn was if I get Contact Seed, I can make Osawa steal it and make Unicorn. But then thinking on it, that's probably not the best. It's probably better just to make the Osawa and just keep going.
Can you keep going if you get Contact Seed and make an Osa?
That entirely depends on what got Contact Seed. If it's normal summon Magdalene and then they Contact Seed, I just kind of go, okay, search what I need, search out the Petting Cessor, Special Petting Cessor, get out the other special summon from Petting, and then I make Osawa, and I can just keep going like nothing happened.
Okay, so depending on where you get hit. Is there anything that your list is missing that other people would play that isn't here that we should acknowledge in advance? Something you are playing that I don't normally see is the Gravedigger's Trap Hole with the Rafflesia. I know this deck is a massive weakness to Nibiru. Is that something you find is necessary and or easy to even set up to justify its existence in this deck?
Okay, so first off, the only time that I'm ever actually going to do that, going first, is if I open Magellin plus Salon, because then I can just normal summon Magellin, search another Magellin, normal summon that second Magellin, search Petting, and then make the Reflatio with the 2 Magellins, and then I just go through my normal combo. Specifically Magellin and Salon.
Magellin, Salon. Okay. And that has to be in that order. There's no alternate line? Because you might have to Petting first. So it's either you... The starter for the deck going first is Magellin or Petting. Or Angeli, right?
Petting, yeah. Either one of those 3 work. But for the Reflatio play, it's pretty much just Magellin Salon. It happens a lot more than it probably should, considering it's 2-3 of... I need 1 copy each of 2-3 ofs. In my personal experiences, some people are very iffy on it. Some people say, no, you gotta run it. I personally like it just for that extra layer of protection. Particularly if I do go into turn 2, I won't be locked into Madolches anymore. So then I can just make the Reflatia and push for the rest of the damage that I need.
Have you ever made it after turn 1?
Yes, once. I've only done it once, and it 100% won me the game because as I was going through to put out enough damage to finish them off, because I made Reflatia, they activated Herald. It was actually he's in first as Drytron, I think, and they activated Herald or something, and the Reflatia stopped it, and I pushed for game that turn.
Okay, so it's not... I'm just trying to determine if it has value. Okay, so I think that's all I really want to know. I don't play Madolche, so I can't really comment on whether this is close or not close to regular deck list. The only Madolche list I ever see every once in a while is there's a Duelist who goes either a Twitch stream or a YouTube channel. I'm not really sure. I don't really follow them so much. They're called Femboy Yu-Gi-Oh, who always won the Chalice Line monthly before, some other online tournaments. I know there's been some success in the YCS to some extent. So I don't know. Have you compared your list with their lists?
Yes, I've actually been in one of their tournaments. I wasn't running Madolche at the time because I didn't have a belt. Our lists are very similar. The Madolche core for almost all deck lists. The only talking of, should we run this many or that, is whether or not to run the 3rd Hoot Cake. I personally don't like the 3rd Hoot Cake, because the Hoot Cake's only a starter
if you hand trap someone, right?
Exactly, if I hand trap somebody. But with my build, as you can see, the only hand trap I actually run is Herald and Droll. Technically D-Shifter, but he's different.
Well, I mean, D-Shifter and Herald are the one that turns on the Hoot Cake as starters, because if you don't have a monster in grave, you can't use them. But Nibiru, as a hand trap, doesn't actually turn that on. So, I mean, you sort of have 6 hand traps to turn it on. Is 6 the right number for that Hoot Cake? That's just something to think about. Again, I don't play the deck enough to comment that. Either way, I guess this is more than enough for deck discussion, just so I have an idea of issues and stuff. But let's get into it. I actually have 1 or 2 suggestions to try later, but I play mostly Rogue. So a lot of my suggestions are interesting ideas that I don't think a lot of people have considered, and I don't necessarily think that they're correct or incorrect, but, it's stuff I'll throw at you after we play a few games, because I want to see if it comes up. So we are playing pre-release, so that means there's a possibility of OCG cards popping up, also maybe some Bode stuff. Just a warning.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, the problem is if I restrict the game too much,
people don't show up.
Exactly, so we kind of have to deal with it. We opened what I believe is a brick, yes?
Yes and no. The only reason why it's not a brick in this exact situation is because you do have the Petting. Petting Cessor can special summon the Pudding Cess from hand or deck.
Okay, so Petting Cessor generally summons the Pudding Cess?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's why it does the level reduction, so you can make a rank 4 with it?
Correct.
Okay.
Salad.
One of the things I like about Droplet in this list is I know you can put the trap card in the graveyard. We have the option to herald this. I don't know if that's something that would make sense to do. Any thoughts on that?
I haven't played against a whole lot of Salad. In this situation, I would. But considering the hand...
All right, well, just to point out, he's activating the Falco, so he's getting Roar no matter what, so there will be a counter trap we have to contend with later. We don't know what he's sending off Gazelle, and currently there's no Balinx engrave, so we might want to consider seeing what he sends and then maybe stopping the play to get that card.
Ooh, good point. Good point. Yeah, let's do that.
Because we only have 1 shot at this orange light, and
yeah.
I mean, I don't think Salad plays Talents, but that opens us up to Talents. They chain blocked a bunch of cards already.
Yeah.
So for sure they will have a counter trap. If they had one interruption, is that something we could make? Because we could stop this. They might not have an extender. They will literally just have a counter trap. If they have nothing but a counter trap, do you think we can win the game? With the cards that we currently possess.
Seeing what we have, it's actually entirely possible. We could just OTK through the counter trap. Really, but it'll really pretty solidly depend on what we actually top.
Okay, because if we allow this, we're probably going to run into something more serious.
Yeah, but we should just go ahead and stop here.
Well, they rage quit because we're taking time. But I mean, that's kind of the point of this. Normally, I would just take whatever play you said and just do it immediately, and then worry about it later. But, the purpose of this is to figure out what the line is. So.
Oh, yeah, like I said, right there, I definitely would have went ahead and heralded there then, and then.
Well, there's no point in getting into too much discussion since we can't tell exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just move on and try and find another game. The point is to talk through the decision-making process, so get you thinking about other things. So we're probably going to get a bunch of those. Just a heads up, although we get to go first now, yes? All right, so run me through the combo, because I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, okay, let's see. Considering this hand, we got the nib, which is fantastic. I would actually just go ahead. Well, we don't even really need to activate the pot because we have the Magellans. So to start, I would normal summon Magellan.
Well, we could always dig for an extender if we need to. There's only one extender, really, right?
Yep, and then add the Petting Cessor.
So that's the extender. So, if this gets negated, we're in kind of some trouble, right?
Yeah, then a special petting.
All right. This is about as much of the combo as I know.
And then activate petting to grab the pudding cess.
If the zones matter, please let me know. I only sort of know.
They don't matter until exactly here. So you overlay the petting and the pudding cess into that on top of the petting set on the petting cessors. Yeah, right there into teacher.
Into the middle zone. I mean, underneath the EMZ.
Underneath the EMZ. Okay, activate teacher, targeting, it doesn't really matter which one you target, and you detach the petting. In this case, normally I target the other Madolche, just because I'm about to just overlay it anyway, but it ultimately doesn't really matter.
Okay.
And then no here, don't activate that effect.
Okay.
And then go into the Chocolate Alla mode.
Alright.
Alright, and then activate Chocolate Alla mode.
So detach one or return one to the deck?
Correct. And then since one was returned to the deck, activate Chocolate Alla mode's detach effect, attaching the teacher. To special summon an Angeli, put it in the far right zone.
Even though Angeli's going to tribute itself off, doesn't matter?
I like to just kind of keep it, this is the way I do it normally, then immediately tribute off the Angeli for its effect.
Alright, at this point if we get Contact Seed, we have a little bit of trouble, correct?
Oh, yes, because now we're locked, because we're locked into Madolche only by the petting. Special summon Hookake in the far left zone in defense position.
Okay.
The reason why that is because Angeli makes it where the Hookake cannot be destroyed by battle
and get shuffled into the deck at the end of the turn following, right?
All Correct. Right. Next, you activate Hookake, targeting the Glass Souffle. Alright, and then special summon Messengelato.
So this can activate because you have a Beast Warrior, or a Beast, right?
Yeah, correct. Activate Messengelato to search for the Chateau.
So this is the second shuffle back?
Yes, yeah. And then just go ahead and activate Chateau. And then activate the Chocolate Alla mode.
Would that trigger if we would have shuffled back a teacher instead?
No, it has to be shuffled back to main deck.
Just making sure.
It's very particular. And then grab the Messengelato again. Effect to grab Salon.
Alrighty.
Alright, activate Salon. Okay, now you're going to want to overlay the one of the Messengelatos and the Magellan. Doesn't matter which Messengelato, in Magellan's spot into another teacher.
So this is so Sistart will point at it?
Correct. And then link off the second Message Gelato and the Chocolate a la Mode into Fresh Sistart.
Alright.
Okay, and then activate Glass Souffle's effect.
So this will shuffle 2 cards in the graveyard into the deck?
Up to 2. You're only going to want to shuffle back just the Message Gelato here.
Is there no value with the... do we want to return it to the hand?
No. Send it back to the deck.
Okay.
Effective Salon will mandatory trigger, and then you set Promenade.
Ah, sad. So we had the option to... now, I'm not saying it would be correct. Obviously, we're just going to set one and pass, right?
Yeah, set the Promenade and pass.
That's
So Promenade will let you just negate any face-up card that he has.
Yeah, it's a hot red dragon Archfiend Abyss. Okay.
Yeah. For the low cost of returning one of your Madolches back to your hand, which will then actually trigger Salon.
Okay, so Salon will trigger if they're added to the hand as well.
Correct.
So we had the option to potentially add back the Pudding Cess, but putting it in hand is not safer than leaving it in a grave? Just out of curiosity? Because it's a fairy. If we would have added it back to hand, we could have orange lighted.
Yeah, correct. So yeah, that's what I would do there is just add that. At this point, I just go ahead and activate the Pot of Prosperity just to see what we can grab.
Sure. Do you have your... How many banishes do you do in this deck?
Normally I do 6. But seeing as we already kind of have our combo pieces and all that, I would consider 3, but 9 times out of 10 I do 6.
All right. Well, we're also doing it after we did the combo, so we've already used a bunch of them. So it's your call. Would you want to do 6 or 3 here?
Yeah, let's just go ahead and do 3 here.
Okay. All right. What would be useless now? Rafflesia's kind of dead now, right?
Not really.
Okay.
We could make it. Normally in this situation, I would actually banish Tornado Dragon, Castell, and Abyss Dweller.
Fair. Okay. We're looking for like Gozen, I guess. Oh, Angeli's a follow-up, right?
It can be.
Well, it also turns on orange light. We already have Nib, so Imperm's the card that does the least. Well, Nib 2 Nibs wouldn't make sense, so it's I guess between Imperm and Angeli, right?
Oh yeah. No, in this case, I would probably go with. Yeah. I'd probably end up just going with Angeli here. Because we already have, because we already have the guaranteed Herald.
Okay, I guess we're passing here since we can't summon again.
Correct. Now had he not nibbed us, whenever we would first activate the Promenade to negate, which add the Pudding Cess back to our hand, right?
Yeah.
Then whenever we activated Herald to discard it and Pudding Cess, Teacher could add them both back to our hand.
Okay. Well, at least we found a reason to consider in the future adding it back early if you have the orange light in hand.
Yeah.
Because they waited, they literally would have allowed us to negate Nib.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thoughts on negating this guy? He gets a token. If he makes it, he can't really make links currently otherwise.
Yeah, and I would just go ahead and negate that with Promenade.
Okay. What should we add back?
Considering I already have the Angeli in hand, I'd almost consider Magellin. But let's go with Pudding Cess because I don't know if Sword Soul can banish. I don't mind if literally any card in that graveyard gets banished except Pudding Cess.
Okay. Well, another reason we could have added it back earlier. I get we could have added it back with Promenade, but there were other cards to add back, right?
Yeah. And then Salon to set the ticket.
Oh, at this point, I guess we could Promenade them next turn. But all right, we'll set ticket.
Now the reason why is because then if we make another Exceed, we can use the Promenade's graveyard effect to banish itself to attach the Pudding Cess to whatever is material. Promenade, but you can only activate that effect or the banish effect. You can't do both.
Okay, that is relevant. But the only reason I would consider not doing it is we could have still just shuffled back another Madolche on the following turn and get a spell anyway, because we can activate a spell next turn. And at least we would have the option to activate the Promenade if we needed to negate a face-up card. Like, going into our turn negating Destroy Phoenix Enforcer might be required for us to do anything.
And then just Herald right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go ahead and do Pudding Cess.
Can we attach the Pudding Cess from Grave with the Promenade?
Yes, we can. It's from hand, deck, or graveyard. It's the only place it doesn't touch is banished and on field.
Okay.
And he's scooped.
Okay. Oh, and they lost connection. All right. Just out of curiosity, have you found my questioning or my comments useful?
Very useful, particularly doing the 3 or the 6, because normally I just do 6 without even thinking about it.
Well, I mean, when you're going first and you're digging for something specific, it matters more. In this case, we specifically knew. Honestly, I actually thought you were going to do 6. Because we would have had 2 cards left in our extra deck. I don't know if we could play with that at that point, right? No, we would have had more, right? We went through.
Yeah. Okay, so like normally the 6 I banish is Reflatia, Dweller, Castel, Tornado Dragon, Phoenix, and Oswa.
All right, so no combo cards. So we would have still had combo cards, right?
Yeah, but like even if I was even if I wanted to hold them, the only ones that I need the second copy of is Teacher and Queen. I can actually banish one of my chocolates and one of my Sistarts and still be able to combo, but not as powerful. But that's only because I can actually shuffle. Due to Queen, I can shuffle them back into the extra deck to go back into them again.
Okay. Because, if we really needed to do so, we could have dug for Gozen Match. Something a little more oppressive than trying to... Because I really should have asked while we were doing that is what card would you want to add to our hand? And, I mean, we obviously made the right choice. Because we had the starter and the follow-up. But we should be considering what am I looking for and how desperately do I need it? Now, getting nibbed, I guess, is not a lot of information. Either way, let's see if we can play another game.
Yeah, but I mean, in most decks, Gozen is just the correct answer.
Okay. All right. Well, they won the dice roll. Maybe we'll go second, which will be interesting. All right. I don't know if you could think of a reason to shotgun this, but
it would depend on what deck it is. Usually I wait for them to commit to something.
Are you familiar with Flower Guardians?
I am not.
Okay, let's see. Let me just read this card to remind myself. I apologize. This shouldn't happen. I'm just going to tell him we're reading. Just going to tell him we're going to be reading a lot so he can go slow and hopefully won't feel bad. Stack the deck. During the main phase, except the is sent to the graveyard. You can banish this card from your graveyard at targeting Flower Guardian and add it to hand. So, a lot of his cards will get sent to grave by their own effects. It's probably useful. Unless you can think of a reason we want our graveyard to be online.
I mean, if it literally just kind of makes them go, oh, pass turn, I would just go ahead and shotgun it, because then we can actually still put up a board of some kind, just with what we have in our hand, even with our graveyard shut off.
All right, so let's fire it off. All right, so he wants to terrorize his locals. That's fun. Okay, I've played decks to just terrorize the locals before. Okay, so we could play under this because we're just going to banish it with Hoot Cake at some point, and all of our monsters don't really care if they go to the graveyard.
Oh yeah, for the most part. Now considering our graveyard is offline, what I would actually do is just kind of put up a board as if I had gone for it first.
Draws a card, shows it, and they send it to the grave unless it's a Flower Guardian. Now they know it's a Flower Guardian because they stack the top 3 cards of the deck. So if we imperm this, there's a chance that they can't summon anything, because all their guys require them to have a low-level Flower Guardian, which is level 1, and then they can summon more dudes from hand, but they have to have cards in hand, and I think all of them, draw a card. Not all of them. But he might need more cards, and imperming this could end the turn, but I don't know this deck well enough to make that call.
Actually, I just go ahead and imperm that, because right now I'm actually just trying to get him to end his turn.
Alright, there's a good chance he does, but there's a chance he makes a Floodgate. Alright, so this is one of them that just summons itself. If you control a level 10 or lower. Okay, so this one is Tribute 1. And so now he draws 1. And it's a Flower Guardian. Special hits. So that's usually what they do. They kind of work like that. This one usually mulligans 1 card from grave to draw a card. So it couldn't do it before because it didn't get 1 in grave. They usually try and summon 5 monsters and they go into a level 10 synchro because they're all treated as level 2s.
Oh, okay.
I'm not too familiar with this. Draw a card if it's a Flower Guardian. Special it, ignoring its summoning conditions, it attack directly. If you control. Skip the draw phase of your turn. So he activated it. So he's going to skip his draw phase. Super Koi summons monsters. Uh-oh. Well, it looks like they got the full board.
Yeah.
Now, the big monster is really hard to deal with. None of those activating matter.
Yeah, because they're all negated because of Koi.
Koi is really annoying. Koi is always hilarious when people have to take damage for 2,000 per card when they hit the wrong cards.
Yeah.
Alright. So this one I recall being good.
Gives them all piercing.
Banish a flower guardian from his graveyard, which he can't do until the end of his opponent's next turn. The opponent cannot activate the effects of cards in the graveyard. So, and they can't special summon monsters from the graveyard. Well, we don't have that, so it doesn't really matter. Alright, so we can pretty much just full combo and just kill him. He can't do anything.
Well, that's the thing, because we actually can't OTK just due to the driver, or not driver, the
Shifter.
Yeah, shifter. So instead, actually, what I would do is, okay, I would normal summon the Madolche, activate effect.
All right.
And then search for another Madolche.
That way we have a follow up.
And then activate Salon.
All right.
Normal summon Madolche. And then actually search for Hoot Cake. Since our graveyard's set up for Hoot Cake shenanigans next turn.
Okay. All right.
And then overlay into.
Personally, I just want to make a Zeus and get rid of all of his cards.
Yeah, it's pretty much what. Yeah, it's pretty much what I'm. Pretty much. So go into either Tornado. Well, go into any Abyss Dweller, Castel, or Tornado Dragon. As far as I know, I don't think it'll matter.
I think Tornado is the most expendable.
Yeah, because then you can just run over the. Yeah, that one, the one with 100 attack.
Excuse me. All right.
And then main phase 2, make a Zeus.
Let's put it out of the way, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess we want the Madolche to potentially go back to the deck later. Whee!
Yeah.
Right. And I guess we just make it his problem for next turn.
Yep. Yeah, just go ahead and pass here. Now the only reason why I was okay with that, though, is because we have that second Salon.
They also skip their draw phase. That makes things kind of easy.
Yeah, and then from here, just normal summon Hoot Cake. Activate effect of Hoot Cake. Banishing the Shifter. To special summon a Messenger Lotto.
I think we can literally just go for game, like by attacking, but we might as well add at least the field, whatever card.
Grab the Chateau.
And let's just go for battles so he doesn't get annoyed.
Well, hold on, because that's still not enough. Just like
he's got 6,000 life points.
Oh, okay, my bad. Never mind. Yeah, then just switch to attack and go in for activate Chateau.
We don't even need to do that, but
and then go for game.
Yeah. Whenever I play, I'm usually a fan of, if my opponent really doesn't want to let me continue playing combos, they can always press the button.
Fair enough.
But, for the sake of not making this video excessively long, there's not much to demonstrate while we're clearly going to win. We could beat them with Droll. What are you thinking? All their monsters are dark.
Go ahead and take out if all their monsters are, just go ahead and take out the Ghosts and definitely Droll and Lockbirds in. Just based off of what I saw, that'll just turn in them just about.
They also usually make like one broken ass synchro, so I mean if we put in Gamma Seal, we could literally kill their board also.
I didn't see a whole lot of like single card negate, so you might also go ahead and consider taking out the
Well, they make light flare, which is like a level 12 synchro that negates a spell trap. It's 5,000 attack and defense, and that's usually the only monster on board. I don't remember if it has protection.
Yeah. Well, in that case, I would consider taking out the Heralds then, for the Gamma Seals, just due to Herald requiring another card to be accessible.
Okay. Well, going second, this looks fine. I don't know how good Pank is against the monsters that they make.
Neither do I. So I usually just kind of relegate it to just staying in the.
Personally,
side.
I would cut the Gravedigger's hole for one of the orange lights.
Just for that odd chance of drawing it.
I just don't see it having any use. The orange light could still stop one of all their monsters activate in hand to summon themselves. Well, some of them do.
Well, actually, in that case, though, wouldn't that make Gravedigger's Trap Hole be a little bit,
I mean, they're going first, so it's not...
fair enough. Yeah, go, yeah, in that case, just go ahead and take it out, and yeah,
All
just
right.
to give us that one.
I guess this is fine. It's a weird matchup. Oh, they got tired of waiting. I don't blame them, but but that's the kind of thought process I go through. Also, I'm not crazy like, oh, if it's not a 3 of in the main, we can't do it. We could play one orange light. It's not like it hurts us to draw it. We draw it at any point. It could be productive.
Yeah, it could be live, could be dead.
Yeah, but also just like side decking in general, you don't need to do things in 3 ofs. Sometimes you just don't have the space to take out something in 3 ofs and put things in 3 ofs. Sometimes it's better to side 2 ofs just because that your side pattern works for that, you know?
Oh yeah, no, I've definitely done that exact thing. Back when I played Shadal, because I would actually main 2 Shadal fusion because it's a worse polymerization if you're going first. And then if I knew I was going second, I'd side in the third. And if I knew I was going to go first, I would side out the
third one, or
yeah,
even the second one.
Yeah, side out the second one so I can side in something else.
Okay. Nowadays we still are. Nowadays I think most dolls are still on at minimum 2, just so Verte can use one.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
But
let's get back into games just so we can make more decisions. We haven't gotten to properly side yet, because they can't stand to let us talk for a few minutes, but all right. Well, I'll get the hang of this series. If anyone disagrees with any of the plays suggestions I'm making or anything, feel free to leave them in the comments. We all just want to learn. Seto Kaiba. Let's go first. Oh. Hey, what's the play line?
I'm sorry. Set goes and pass. I mean,
all right.
Because you don't really have any way to you don't have any Madolche, so you can activate Promenade. You don't have any way to activate Salon or Ticket. I mean,
no, I agree with the play. The only alternative to this play is set the Promenade so it's online for next turn. Unfortunately, it looks like they're just gonna do BA plays.
Oh boy.
So their whole deck is dark. We are literally going to be obliterated.
Yeah. That's
now. What would you do? How long would you sit out this combo?
I would just sit here and wait it out until like they go for game. Because at some point they might do something and put out a monster that isn't dark.
All right, this is Phantom Knight's Burning Abyss. Can you think of a monster? Just out of curiosity. I just mean against this matchup, what would you do? How fast would you scoop?
I wouldn't scoop until they do the last attack for game. But okay. that's just the way I play. Because some people will like
screw up game.
Will like go declare one attack and then go okay game 2, and I'm like okay cool. Who you pick because you scooped because they didn't declare their attacks. They didn't say do you scoop. They didn't even say scoop. They just picked up the cards. You know what I mean?
I hear you. I would be iffy about trying that. That sounds a little bit sus. Just a heads up.
I don't rely on it, but I do wait for the final attack or All
right. There's the better thing and also the less sus thing would be to consider scooping fairly quickly to conserve time. But also, my question is, can you think? Obviously, Goes and Match doesn't do anything. We could flip it to make it look like we're on a trap deck or something. The problem is we didn't set any other cards.
Yeah.
So we can't really bluff that, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Well, like I said, in this situation, either wait for them to summon a monster that isn't dark, not going to happen, or just not flip it at all, just so that way they don't get any information.
That is true. But something we should consider in the future, and that is a
flip it.
The rare instance where this card does something.
Yep. So now all they know is that we're on Gozen.
That's true. Odds are we're still dead. Just that doesn't mean this was still the correct play. Still could be scoop sooner. But I'm biased because my Phantom Knight deck doesn't play that. But that's because I play a weird deck.
Fair.
So I wasn't expecting that. But it makes sense that they would play it. He's probably just going to make Verte Anaconda, make Dragoon, and then we played no cards before. We probably won't be playing more cards on the follow up.
Yeah.
And there's a Shade Brigandine's here. They should be able to make a Fog Blade, at the very least, so odds are we're not doing anything anyway. But yeah, I don't know if I would have sat that out just because it's a massive amount of time.
Which is entirely fair. Um,
I'm not
but like
saying
I
we
said,
should. I'm not saying we should scoop either. This is great for talking it out.
oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, and then something else I do also enjoy is that then I can actually see how the deck is supposed to combo, and it gives me a little bit of information if I don't know how a deck actually actively plays. Because like I don't know PK Fire too well, so this kind of gives me an idea on okay, I need to do this hand trap here. This is a possibility here.
Okay.
Does that make any sense?
No, yeah, for sure. I just don't know how much you know PK. Are you familiar with PK?
Vaguely. I actually went at one point set out to actually build the deck, but I didn't feel like spending $45 for the torn scales.
Okay.
So I've got everything but that pretty much for PK Fire.
Okay, well, tin reprint, so you'll be set shortly.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a funny one. There's always a possibility they forget who went first.
Yeah, they didn't.
They should. Well, they sometimes will skip the battle phase. There are some weird benefits to like sticking out a turn.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Also, like my favorite is when you early on when people weren't really used to Gamma.
Yep.
They would assume that they had the battle phase because you had monsters. They forgot it was turn 1.
Okay.
Well,
yeah, just scoop here. There's nothing there's nothing we can really do here.
Well, we didn't really give away anything. All right, so PK, what are your thoughts on side deck? Who we're going first?
Okay, so yes, they do run the non-dark, but I don't think one card's worth the Gozens. Gozen's coming out.
All right.
As far as to what in, Red Reboot is an option because then you can just stop. Because then as soon as they activate one of their,
we are going first though, so we have that possibility as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd actually side in the different dimension ground since we're going first. Because then if we top it, it's D-shifter, but on their turn only.
Okay.
I mean, what's your opinion on like Droll here?
It is amazing in this matchup. Every Phantom Knight card searches something.
Oh, okay. I'd probably come out the Heralds again, just because it requires another card to be functional, and then in with Droll.
I wouldn't cut the Heralds. I would cut the D-shifters, just because odds are we'll have combo.
Fair enough. That's a good point.
And this will protect combo. Odds are they're playing hand traps. So, I mean, they have to hit us in a way where we don't get any cards in our graveyard for Shifter to be like the backup play. So,
fair enough.
Or we can cut Nib, and I don't know. We are going first. We might not need Nib, but Nib is like the backup play instead of Shifter if we have monsters in grave, right?
Correct.
All right, so that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, fair enough. Then we also have the different dimension grounds and as well.
Right, I'm gonna start it up just so it doesn't look like we're taking forever. Gosh darn it!
Yeah.
One day we will get to side deck for a matchup.
One day, but hey, it was still a useful conversation to have.
Yeah, indeed. All right, let's try and get another one.
Player.
Well, the arch nemesis of all YGOPRO players. Well, they're going first. We opened the trap hole, so...
It happens sometimes.
My favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card. Gizmek Orochi. I love that card.
Interesting.
Alright, so this is some sort of deep draw deck. What's that? Or it's a level 8 spam, because Barbaros is like definitely a level 8 thing.
Yeah. Oh, it's the new Barbaros.
Yeah. King Beast, not Beast King.
Okay, what on earth did they put on the board?
Ogopogo does nothing. That could be the trap card that bounces a danger and your opponent's card. That's the only thing I can think of. Or Super Poly, which, I mean, or Imperm maybe.
Okay, go ahead and act... Okay, so in that case, since they do have a card that bounces, I would actually just go ahead and activate Salon.
Alright.
And basically...
Use the extra normal summer in first in case we need to do it again. Okay.
Okay, special the Petting Cessor, actually.
Okay. Says we got one turn to beat him. Alright, whatever. Whatever you say, boss.
And then activate to grab the Pudding Cess. and then overlay into teacher.
Alright, should I just do everything in attack mode just to be safe?
I normally do it in defense mode personally, but I mean, I don't see why not attack mode in this outside of the teacher.
Well, the reason I think so, this is the first teacher, so we could always attack into the YGOPRO make Zeus. Oh, well, not now. I guess we're locked in. Alright.
Yeah, and then effect, detach the petting.
Okay, that doesn't really bug me.
Oh, to get the Orochi out? Okay.
Yeah.
And then don't activate her effect.
Chocolat.
Yep.
This zone, right?
I mean, I'm going for game here, so
Okay.
it doesn't really matter.
Okay. What do we do?
Alright, and then activate her effect.
Alright.
Yeah, stuffing back petting.
Alrighty.
And then, yeah. Activate. Detaching the teacher. Okay, special summon Angeli.
Alrighty.
And then set ticket.
Okay, so you think Ticket's better going second to try and get some more resources out of it, I guess?
Correct. Just immediately activate ticket.
Alright.
And then effective Angeli.
Alright.
To bring out Hoot Cake, the second Hoot Cake in deck. That's why I run 2 Hoot Cakes.
I mean, we have the extra normal. We could have normaled it. Just a thought.
I mean, we haven't even done our normal summon yet either.
Yeah.
Then activate effect of Hoot Cake. Banishing the Glass Souffle. Bring out Messengelato.
Alright.
Who will then search for Chateau. Activate Chateau.
Is there a way for us to get a monster into our hand to use this orange light with if we need to protect ourselves?
Yeah, actually, right here.
Alright.
And then activate her effect as well.
Okay, because they could be trying to nib late.
Mm-hmm.
So they should nib here, really, right? Because this is where we get something. What do we summon?
Yeah. Okay. For that summon, since we are adding to our hand.
Well, we're specialing first.
Yeah, we're specialing first. If we special summon Messengelato here, we'll actually miss timing and not get the search, but it doesn't really matter, so I would just go for the Messengelato.
Okay.
And then add Angeli to hand.
So we have our fairy. Oh, we could special it. Up to you.
Case,
I don't know what we can do with the cards we have available, so you'll have to make the call.
Yeah, you'll see in a second. Just add it to your hand.
Alright.
Okay, and then overlay the 2 Messengelatos into a queen.
I probably should have put that in a different zone. Alright.
It doesn't matter. Activate queen.
So this doesn't target, correct?
She does, but only in your graveyard.
Alright, so we target 2 cards in our graveyard to get rid of 2 of their cards.
Correct.
Alright.
I would actually do Ogopogo and
Return to hand. Do we want to add our cards back to our hand?
You know what? Yeah, go ahead and add them back to hand here.
Alright. And Ogopogo and
Ogo, and I would actually do the back row.
Can we kill them without getting rid of Gizmek?
Well, no, because I was actually considering just making a second queen and sending the Orochi back that way.
Can we with the cards we have?
Possibly. That's because now we have that second fairy in hand.
Well, we haven't normaled yet, right? At all?
Correct. We haven't normaled at all.
So we can shuffle these both back. And then just normal 2 guys and then go for it?
Yep, make another queen. Wait. We can't because we don't have the material in graveyard. Now I think about it. We don't have the material engraved to detach. Oh,
Well, they scoop. I mean, if we do 2 normal summons, we just attack over it, and then we might have damage anyway.
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
worst case scenario is that we overlay on top of that second queen another chocolate, just to get us a little bit of extra damage in. Extra 300 points.
They're a 99% dark deck again, and roll should
Yeah.
stop all the dangers. Anything else you could think of that's worth mentioning or worried about?
Let's see. Since we're going second,
Probably, just because they went first last time.
yeah, most likely. No, I mean, nothing else I can. Well, I'd probably take out the Nibs because it doesn't seem like a deck that special summons a lot.
Yeah, he didn't, but dangers could be they could be deep draw danger, so that there is a possibility that they do. I just don't think anything else would be better, so I think Nib actually makes more sense.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, in that case, that'd be about all I'd change.
Yeah, just trying to get to 1 game too, so just speeding through the siding a little bit.
Oh, I guess he's really thinking about that siding.
Maybe they consider making us go first.
Nope, right. You went first.
Yeah. All right, so we can shifter. They'll still draw cards, but
yeah.
Unless that would be a bit better off letting them, because we have petting. So
that's a good point.
Because them discarding cards doesn't necessarily mean we can decide later. We don't have to shifter them now.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and not shifter now.
Because we don't know how broken the discards they have are.
Yeah.
All right, so that worked out. All right, and that's how you win games.
Apparently.
Did you feel that this was productive and useful to you?
Very much, actually. Yeah. Again, one of the big things was definitely the 3 or 6. I mean, in your opinion, is there any reason for me to ever do 3?
You have the card, and your board can be made better, and it's better to get it out of the way on your first turn when you can't do damage, and you might as well dig for either the extender or the additional floodgate or protection. Also, it's like if you're doing it after you've thinned your deck out by doing like full combo, your odds of getting the cards you actually want to get are higher, so you can just do it later. But also, it really depends. Can you like play after you do? How many cards do you use in the combo? We go through 2 glass, right?
Yeah, you usually go through 2 glass.
I'm just gonna put them to the front.
Yeah. Okay. So like, let's say we're going like full on. I'm going to OTKU combo.
Oh, I'm talking turn 1. This is turn 1, right?
Oh,
These
okay.
4?
Yeah. Pretty much just those 4.
All right. What 6 would you banish afterwards? So I'm just gonna put this here as like a divider.
Yeah. Let's see. I would definitely do. Well, because I obviously didn't get Contact Seed, I would do Asua, Nightmare Phoenix, and then Tornado Dragon, Castel, Abyss Dweller, and the Trap Tricks.
Okay, because we're assuming we didn't use them.
Yeah.
All right, and that would leave you with the Zeus and these 4 cards. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I leave you with the. Oh, I'm just gonna move this over here. So pretty much everything after this to start. Here, let me just switch the order of these.
Yeah.
Okay, so we use these first 4 in the combo. Then you have these 6 available to be banished, and all you would have left are these. Right?
Yep. Which is part of my actual full combo. Later, I'll actually usually end up shuffling back the first chocolate and usually the one of the teachers too.
Okay, so you'll have access to all of these after combo. Okay, so you can afford to banish 6. Okay, so you might as well dig deeper.
Okay.
With the exception of, I guess, having 2 pots. Maybe you want to space it out just to use both cards, but I don't think that's a great reason to do that. I mean, the other pot will be dead, but it's always usable for a droplet if you have it. The other thing is, let me think. Is there anything else that came up that was something that you thought, something you found helpful in particular, just from like the gameplay discussion?
Should I shotgun the shifter? That was definitely a good question that made me go, uh-oh, should I?
Well, I mean, everything is game determinate. If you use it early, you might just get gamut. If you use it late, you might just get talents. maybe you can see what deck they're on first. There's also a possibility, I've seen this happen before, is you don't have to shifter even on their turn. You can literally... What if they just normal summon a card and search... What if they just normal summon Alistair, search Invocation, and then pass? I mean, I guess that's not like the best example, but they might just pass, so you can like wait until your turn, or try and use it in the end phase of... Like, what happened? I was playing Dinosaur. I normal summoned Oviraptor, searched Oviraptor. My opponent was on Zoo. They didn't have to shifter me then. So then they made like a crappy play on the next turn. On the next turn, I normal summon the Oviraptor again, and now they shifted me. So you can like extend how long you have to use it if you just didn't have to use it early. I'm not saying that's correct because, you know, you play into talents. You have to know what people are on at the time, but there's no reason why it has to be played immediately. Other than you're going to have cards in your graveyard at some point. And just because we have Shifter and we can play Shifter doesn't mean you actually want to put yourself under Shifter, right? It does affect your combo.
It can. However, me going through my normal first turn combo, I can actually end my turn with no cards in grave and Shifter in my end phase. But that's a very specific combo that requires everything going right. Like my opponent not hand trapping me at all. I've only ever had it come up like twice.
Okay.
But that's because whenever I make that link 2, that's all that's in my grave were the 2 Madolches I sent to my graveyard for the Sistart, which will trigger Teacher, so I shuffle them both back in the deck, and then I have no cards in grave, Shifter.
Okay, so it's nice to know that combo exists and you know it, because I don't know what's going on. Obviously, if you have to Prosperity before that, you won't be able to do it.
Correct.
So there are things to consider in reference to that. Let's see. We obviously didn't really get to do the combo where we actually get to make the Rafflesia. I don't know if that's worth it making in the long run, just because it seems like it doesn't come up as often as I would like it to. But I mean, you know, this is a very limited sample size. Not gonna pretend that we played enough games to know. Because now if I was just to cut just cut something on the deck, it would most likely just be straight up be Rafflesia. Because of all the extract monsters, and that includes Tornado, Dragon, Abyss Dweller, and Castell, it's the one I make the least. Well, I was also going to ask you about the Unicorn. Like, is the Unicorn more important? I mean, obviously, we just put in Zeus. We don't really have enough testing with Zeus to know if it's worth playing. But is a Unicorn something you've actually found useful in the long run? I mean, you don't play like an access code to go into with it.
No, not really. Like I said, I've actually ever used the Unicorn once. And it actually won me the game because it let me bounce a IO that they had flipped. Which let me then just kind of go full combo, because that's the only thing that was stopping me from OTKing was the fact that I couldn't activate Chateau Salon or Ticket.
Okay.
But that's literally the one time. That's because I normal summon Magellin and they contact seed me. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to ask like 2 more questions, and then I have like a suggestion, which I'm not sure if the answer is that it's good or bad. I'm going to make a suggestion, but Lancia, this format, not good enough to play? Because I know it's like a card you can kind of recycle using, I think it's Ticket, to add the cards back to hand. So you can like Lancia your opponent turn after turn.
Considering what we're going into, I just don't foresee my opponent doing a lot of banishing on my end, and Lancia also just straight up turns off my Shifter and
Well, I mean, like, let's say you do your turn 1 combo, and you just drew a Lancia. Like, the Lancia is not for it's a backup plan should your combo, like, get obliterated, you know, by your opponent hand trapping you. It gives you something you can do to get your turn so you live, so you can play on the next turn. And if they don't hit you, you do your full combo, you still have Lancia in hand, which means it's more fairies for orange light. Is one thing. And 2, you can add it back to your hand with, I forget which card lets you add them back to hand.
It's
Ticket or Chateau. Yeah.
It's Chateau plus Teacher, but Teacher will only let you do that when a Madolche gets sent to the graveyard for any reason.
Okay, so you would have to like
I'd have to detach for an Exceed effect or link off or something like that to
let me just read Teacher real quick.
Yeah.
If a Madolche card is sent to the graveyard while this card is on the field, you can shuffle 2. Okay, so Madolche card has to go to the graveyard. So you can like always orange light someone, then chain a teacher to get her to trigger that effect, right?
Yes. If my orange light discard target is also Madolche, and I have Chateau on board, her effect will actually proc, and I can add the Madolche I had discarded and the orange light back to my hand just to pitch them a second time if I really want to, or just to keep them out of my graveyard.
Well, I was thinking you can just Lancia. You can use orange light, discard Lancia, then chain Souffle to detach an Xyz material. And then because it's a trigger effect on res, cards were sent to the graveyard. So that would be an option as well. So you can always Lancia, chain Souffle, and add back the Lancia for the follow-up turn. Because if your opponent can't play through Lancia for 1 turn, they can't play through Lancia for 2 turns. But so that's just a thought, a play. I don't play the deck, so it's hard for me to. I'm just mentioning plays I've seen before because I've definitely been Lancia two plays in a row in my Infernoided deck by Madolche, and it was definitely very difficult. And that game definitely went to the scoop phase immediately. Something else, I'm going to make some suggestions, and it's just because I play mostly going second decks. How much do you love Mystic Mine? Do you embrace Mystic Mine?
I despise Mystic Mine with a passion.
Fair enough, and I expected you to say something along those lines. But there is a play line which I have been using lately, which is really fun, and it is you Mystic Mine your opponent, and then you Zeus the board. So pretty much you let your opponent do whatever they want, and then rather than bothering to hand trap them, you just activate Mystic Mine. They can't do anything. You maybe summon 2 Madolches, overlay for something you don't care about, or something that can attack into a monster that's on the board. Just attack into it, make a Zeus, and then just pass turn, let them go, and then if they ever get to do something threatening, you just Zeus them. I mean, I'm not saying there aren't better plays, but it's just something to consider as like a side deck option.
I mean, possibly.
I've done it to like some full like synchro board where I just like hand trap 1 card and they got stuck with a bunch of materials, so I just set up the play. It's just something to think about. I don't know if it's worth doing. The other one is Salon is great, and I'm sure you love having 3 Salon. This is just something I always consider whenever there's a card that like gives me an extra summon in like any deck. Salon is a once per turn, not per copy, so you can't have like 2 Salons and get 2 extra normal summons, correct?
Correct.
All right, so there's another card that gives you an extra normal summon, which I like. I don't necessarily think it's correct based on... It sounds like there are some plays where if you put a card in your graveyard, you can't do the D-Shifter play, so this would not be beneficial in that sense. But Double Summon, I find, accomplishes a similar goal, while also giving you that possibility of getting a 3rd summon. Does that make sense?
Yes. As a matter of fact, before I got my 2nd and 3rd copy of Salon, I actually ran 2 Double Summon in that slot.
Now, and then, I would say in most cases it doesn't actually affect you in a negative manner whatsoever, right?
The only negative part was that the Salon is searchable.
Well, that's actually why I think as a 1 of versus a 3 of. It's a 3 of that does exactly the same thing with every single copy, whereas you can search the Salon, which will get you the trap card anyway, even if you double summon. So you can like double summon Salon and get both summons off of it, so you can get 3 normal summons. Because double summon just gives you an extra normal summon, and Madolche Salon lets you do the additional summon of a Madolche. So you can get 3 summons if you open the double summon, then search the Salon, and then trigger the Salon again to set the trap card. You get the 2 extra summons plus the trap set. Assuming I'm not wrong about how double summon works with Salon.
I mean, as far as I'm aware of, the Salon and double summon do stack.
All right, there are 2 different types of normal summon editions, and I'm pretty sure double summon like doesn't usually stack. I mean, when you say they do stack, you mean you can use both, right?
Yeah.
That's what I meant. I was starting to interpret it the wrong way, to where we were saying that it doesn't stack. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they do stack. So there's the benefit of that, but it means you're more likely to have a card in your graveyard, so that Dimension Shifter after doing your combo wouldn't be a thing more often. I don't know if that's something that would help you, just because sometimes your opponent will stop one of your extra summons and you just have another summon, like that extra summon sometimes is literally the game changer, right?
Usually no. Now, my own personal experience, back when I was running the double summon, every single time I saw the double summon, I was just like, I wish this was Salon instead.
Okay, I mean that's the kind of thing I want to have in discussion. So
yeah. Mostly because yeah, it is searchable. However, even because whenever I did see the double summons, I would, by the time I would actually get to the salon search, I would then have to spend one of my one of my Messengelato searches to get the salon to begin with, when I could have already had the salon on board because I got to that point using the double summon.
Well,
And
the real question is, if you get the salon later, can you trigger it to set the trap card in the same turn? If you use the double summon and get it later. Because if you can, then I don't see a problem. If you can't, then that's an obvious problem, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But like usually by the time I've because like that first Messengelato search, I have to search Chateau, so I get the second special summon, which is where I would search which is where I would actually search for either the promenade or the ticket. But now I'm having to use it to search for Salon instead, and sometimes I can't get another At that point,
back.
I can't get another shuffle back to trigger the Salon.
Okay, again, I don't play the deck well enough, but like anytime like I see like Time Thief decks that play Startup, which is, that spell card they just search off of if they brick on what's the Winder, the like normal summon Winder search the Time Thief Startup and then special another Time Thief Winder if they really need to make the rank 4. Like, you don't need 3 copies of a searchable card in a lot of cases when you can play a card that's a little more open, depending on what your deck does. Like in my deck, if I had a searchable card that let me normal summon and a card that would let me normal summon any monster, sometimes normal summoning a hand trap and going to Halka Fibrax is an option that I wouldn't have had if I didn't have that kind of an option,
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't play Madolche enough to know how well this idea would work for you. So I'm just suggesting it, from general experiences with like cards like that.
Oh yeah. Like I said, before I got my other two salons, like I said, I was running the.
So you've tested it, and in the long run, you decided it's just better to play 3 salon.
Correct. Like as soon as I got the 3 salons and I switched to it, everything it just immediately got so much better. Again, because like I said, if I have the salon, that's one less search I have to do, as opposed to if I pull the double summon, that could have been a salon.
Oh no, I get you. I always thought the extra summon might be helpful. It might increase the odds of getting the Rafflesia out early. Would be another thing.
Yeah, I mean, it could.
I'm not saying in the long run that you should do it. I'm just saying, something to consider. And obviously you have, so that helps.
Now actually run the double summons becomes stupidly powerful if you open Salon double summon plus Madolche. Because then you can summon the first Madolche, search a Madolche, double summon the second Madolche, search the third, Salon summon that Madolche, get petting, and you got 3 monsters on board, and 2 cards in hand.
Okay.
But,
I mean, that's still like a very an extra combo, not a bad thing. Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I was also curious about it because I own 1 salon, so I always wanted to try Madolche. And that was one of the things I was going to do because I'm like, I was too cheap to buy more salons because I'm like, they're going to be in the tins. Of course they missed the tins. So, I thought, I would try it that way myself just to see because I don't play the deck. Have everything, just not 3 salons. Just can't get myself to sit down and make it. And I thought that might be a good idea. Well, if you tried it, you tried it. Those are the only ideas I have. Just I know as a going second deck, if you're playing Droplet Mine is one of the easiest outs for the Drytron board, and then making a Zeus as the follow-up to just clear the board when they go to their end phase, when they can't orange light you.
Yeah.
Afterwards, so you could just summon monsters and kill them is the reason I suggest that play. Because a lot of people are currently they're not playing around Mine, and you can't play around Droplet. So it's just something I wanted to suggest. So those are the 2 big ones that I thought of. And I don't play the deck to make better suggestions, so I apologize if I can't.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I'm not saying that the Mystic Mine play isn't a good idea.
You might have better options,
Yeah, there might be some better options that I can't think of, but I also just don't like Mystic Mine.
Oh, yeah, I understand the perspective. I disagree with it, but that's okay. That's okay. Our wonderful discussion on what is a floodgate.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just don't we don't see eye to eye on everything, which is fine. So yeah, I think that's going to wrap this up. Unless you have any other, is there anything that you are never sure what to do with your own deck that maybe I just have experience with?
Nothing I can think of.
All right, cool. So if everybody liked this kind of series, please, let us know in the comments. Know if we should do this again in the future. If you want to come on, maybe. So like the expectation is you're someone who plays regularly, feels like you could do better, and think I sound like I might be able to provide some insight by like coaching you through some games to make choices. That's the kind of thing we're looking for. Just leave in the comments. Everybody check out the Cut Yugioh podcast. And yeah, hopefully, and if you guys have better build suggestions or other things we didn't consider or talk about, make sure to leave them in the comments, and we'll see you next time.